go. So, well, it has to come out sooner or later. Sadly, sorry Gen 7 fans, but Gen 7 as a whole is my least favorite Pokemon generation. It's probably the first generation that did not meet my high standards and expectations for the series. Most specifically, Ultra Sun. I think Moon just kind of got up there. I haven't even finished Ultra Sun yet because of how underwhelmed I've been by it and how disappointed I've been with it. I've gotten to Mount Lanakila, so it's not like I haven't played most of it or anything. But I like it. It's a good game, but I don't like the generation as a whole, and I figured out how I feel about all the Gen 7 Pokemon, and turns out, on average, it's my least favorite generation. I think it was pretty close to Gen 5, actually, come to think of it. But, so just keep that in mind. The heavy hitters here aren't as heavy hitting as they are in other generations. Second thing to note with this list is I've just had a lot of less exposure to Gen 7 Pokemon. Gen 6 kind of had this issue too, but Gen 7, a lot of Gen 7 Pokemon are kind of rare, and given how underwhelmed I am by Ultra Sun, I haven't played it as religiously as past Pokemon games. So even with Pokemon that I like, I can't really remember entirely why I like some of them. There are some of them that I played back when I played Moon in 2016. I loved them, gushingly loved them, and now I'm like, what was so special about this Pokemon compared to this other one? But so with that in mind, this list kind of deviates from my current tastes a bit, but I didn't want to update my list because this generation ends on Thursday, and so if I made changes to it, it would be basically the Gen 8 list of how I feel about every single Pokemon. And I don't know, it seemed a little wrong to change it 1 week before I switch over and make a whole new list anyways. So I'm sticking with what I had last year. Okay. And then the other last thing to note is a lot of this is kind of design based. And that's not intentional. It's just, as it turns out, a lot of the Pokemon that I used in a lot of the Gen 7 Pokemon that I use personally didn't make the cut for this list. They weren't my favorites and they weren't my least favorites. So, there you go. So I'm gonna, for time's sake, what I want to do is show you right here what 4 Pokemon would round out my bottom 10 and what 4 Pokemon would round out my top 10. My hand's in a perfect spot for it. But I don't have time. I have a lot of work. It's tough being a teacher and a graduate student at the same time. I don't have any time at all. So I have to just get this out. But I'll have a pretty picture of each of the Pokemon that I go over. So first, number 6, my sixth least favorite Pokemon from Gen 7 is Dewpider, which is the pre-evolution of Aeronaquid or something. I was never quite sure how to say that Pokemon's name. So Dewpider, I didn't like it when I first found it, and I still don't like it. I've never used it. My opinion is purely design-based, and I don't really know a lot about Aeronaquid, so I can't even say much on that regard. I know that Aeronaquid, or however it's pronounced, is kind of popular for Gen 7 Pokemon. I think it's good competitively, from what I've heard. So, there's that. But as far as Dewpider is concerned, I don't really get what they were going for, and whatever they went for, I don't like it. It's supposed to be a spider. It doesn't even look like a spider to me. Like, it it looks more like an alien or something. I don't like it. I don't like the eyes at all. Sorry, Dewpider fans out there. I just don't like Dewpider's design. So my number 6 favorite Gen 7 Pokemon is Grubbin. Cute little fella. Grubbin is currently my favorite generic early route bug Pokemon. You know, every generation has that 3-stage, except Gen 2 that was 2-stage, bug Pokemon that you find early on and evolves early and isn't so good late game. As far as final stage goes, I like my mind's blanking on Charjabug's evolution's name. It's like Voltic. No, it's not Voltic. It's well, it's something like that. Anyway, my favorite final form is Vivillon. Vivillon is like, it should be pronounced Vivillon or something like that, but Vivillon is like, I freaking love it. But Grubbin, as far as unevolved ones go, Grubbin's top tier. I like how it's cute, and I like that it's useful throughout the game. I was shocked how long it takes for Grubbin to evolve into Chargebug. And you know what's really cool? Is that it has such a great variety of moves. It's not like Caterpie that gets like 2 moves. Now I think Caterpie gets Bug Bite too. Grubbin got bug moves, it got ground moves, it got dark moves, it got electric moves, it got flying moves, it gets acrobatics. My favorite attack in the whole series. It gets all that before it evolves into Chargebug. It's great. So like you can use it as an electric Pokemon or as a ground Pokemon, and it doesn't have those weaknesses with it. It was so useful in the beginning of the game. And I really like that whole line, actually. That was a really great addition in Gen 7. Grubbin's evolutionary line. Sorry, Chargebug's evolution, that I can't remember your name. I love you. That was great. That was good. So, my 5th least favorite Gen 7 Pokemon is Wimpod. So, Wimpod, first of all, just know you're going to see this evolutionary line in this video again. Golisopod's coming. But for now, Wimpod, I never used it. I didn't like the design at all. It's kind of ugly. It's the animals that it's based on, which I'll get to in a moment, but the animals that it's based on, I like those animals. I think they're cool. So it's kind of... Wimpod just looks bad. There's nothing appealing about its design. And it's been a while, but I seem to recall that it was a little annoying to catch, particularly in Ultra Sun. I don't think I had a lot of issues with it in Moon version, but getting it in Ultra Sun, I seem to recall huffing and puffing a little. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I don't like Wimpod very much. And another thing that bothers me about it is that people keep calling it a horseshoe crab or a trilobite, and it's so obviously not a horseshoe crab and a trilobite. It's like, come on, just learn some animals for once, please. But the thing is that I'm kind of torn on what it actually is. So when I first saw it, I was like, oh, that's obviously a branchiopod. Branchiopod. I think it's branchiopod. Anyway, branchiopods are a type of crustacean. Look it up. It's Branchio pod. It looks exactly like Wimpod. So it's like so obviously a branchiopod. But, so, I was like, ha ha ha. I'm going to go to Bulbapedia and get exactly the species it is. But Bulbapedia makes a good argument. It makes a good argument for it being an isopod. Golisopod, obviously, is an isopod. That was never a question. But Wimpod, I was certain was a Branchiopod. There are a few isopods that look a little like it. I don't think it looks enough like an isopod to call it an isopod, but there's a good argument to be had. It could very conceivably be an isopod. But I don't like it. I don't like fighting over it. I just don't like it. Screw you, Wimpod. So, moving on. My 5th favorite Gen 7 Pokemon is Cosmog! Cute little feller. It's one of the cutest Pokemon ever, I think. It's so adorable. I like it. I like its design. I like how it's like. It makes me think of Jumpluff a little. I'm a huge Jumpluff fan. Don't get me started about Jumpluff, one of my favorite grass Pokemon. One of the cutest Pokemon ever. But it makes me think of Jumpluff. I had Torchic here to hit all you pathos people when I was talking about what I love about the series. My beloved Torchic from Sapphire, one of the most impactful games on me in my entire life, won't be able to join me in Galar. How sad. I might not have sent it up anyways, I'm not one of those people, but I like having the option. Anyways, Cosmog, it's so cute. And I really like, it's more than just a cute Pokemon. It's super novel. It's the first legendary Pokemon that evolves. What? What? It evolves? Yes, sirree, Bob. It evolves into some unmemorable Pokemon, and then it goes to the cover legendary. It's kind of weird that there's like there's a form in the middle there, which it's not a bad form by any means. I like it, but it's super unmemorable. But anyway, Cosmog it's cute and it's integrated into the story really well, particularly in Moon version. Don't get me started on Ultra Sun's story. And that's cool. That's cool. I like Cosmog. I liked its integration in the story. I liked its involvement with Lily. It was good all around, and it's a unique legendary. I know it sucks in battle, but I had fun. I had fun training it up. It's just, it's really chipper. I like it. I named it Nebby. It's a good name for it, Okay, my 4th least favorite Pokemon from this generation is Turtonator, which is so ugly. It's one of the most ugliest Pokemon designs I've ever seen. It looks like a Blastoise, which I'm not hating on Blastoise. Blastoise is in my top tier for Pokemon, but is Blastoise a good looker? No. And you know what Turtonator looks like? It looks like a Blastoise had sex with a Magmar or Magmortar. And if you've been following my videos, you know how I feel about Magmortar. And Magmar. And that's what it looks like. It looks like a Magmortar Blastoise, or Magmar Blastoise. It's so ugly. It's disgusting. I don't even want to see it. And you know what? It's a missed opportunity, and I hate missed opportunities, and I don't like Game Freak not following through on obvious moves for Pokemon. This Pokemon, the whole thing going on with it is its spiky shell that has pointed towards the opponent, and it doesn't even learn Spiky Shield. That's dumb. That's dumb. And you know what? The only way a dragon Pokemon could get lower on my list than Turtonator would be if its name started with a P and ended, with a P and ended with Alkia. That's how bad Turtonator is. Lame. Let's move on. So, my 4th favorite Gen 7 Pokemon is Decidueye. Everybody loves Decidueye. Sorry, me too. Unfortunately, my starter from Moon, Primarina, I've learned to like Primarina, but it's not on this list. Decidueye is my favorite starter from Gen 7. It has a great design, one of the best designs of any starter. You gotta admit, Decidueye's design is fantastic. And you know what? I love the lore behind it, and like the Pokemon they base it off of. Decidueye is a fossil Pokemon in disguise. You know, that's cool. Like, in game, it's not extinct, but it's based on. The reason why it's ghost type is because in the real world, the owl that's based on is extinct. I think. I don't think there are fossils of it. I think it's a Holocene extinction. Might be Pleistocene during the Ice Age. I don't quite know. I don't remember the history of it very much, but you know, it's still cool. Uh, and the typing's awesome. Grass Ghost. I skipped out on Grass Ghost in Gen 6, even though there was both Gourgeist and Trevenant, but I did it in Ultra Sun. And Grass Ghost, it's a fun typing, and I like that because its evolutions are flying type. Decidueye gets the benefits of having flying type moves without being flying type, you know? So it's not worried about electric Pokemon and stuff all the time. And it's useful throughout the game. I've had a good time with Decidueye. It's good. That's good. Thumbs up. It should have been in Smash over freaking Incineroar, which screw Incineroar. It just struck me that Incineroar is not on this list. I can't believe it. I don't like Incineroar at all. It's bottom tier for me, but it's not on this list. Okay, number 3. Speaking of bottom tier, number 3, least favorite Gen 7 Pokemon is Buzzwole, which even has an awful name. I don't like saying its name. This Pokemon is preposterously ugly. It's quite frankly, it's disgusting to look at. Buzzwole. It's disgusting to look at. It's such a disappointing concept for mosquito Pokemon. You know, like they should have come up with something better. But instead, you get this like weird, like hyper macho mosquito where all these like boils on it or like muscles are like full of blood or something. Like it's gross. I mean, technically, I'm full of blood, but you know what I mean? It's just disgusting and a lame thing to do for a mosquito. Bad. Bad. Oh, bothers me that it exists. You know, that's a Pokemon. I bet you anything, it's going to be like 5 or 6 years before, maybe more. It could be 10 years before Buzzwole comes back. Because when are they going to bring back the Ultra Beasts, huh? They should do it soon. They opened a whole can of worms with the Ultra Beasts. But, you know. Okay, so moving on. Number 3, best. Another arthropod. Golisopod. Now, I don't have a lot to say about Golisopod. Because I've never used it. But it's one of those designs where you see it. I saw it when the Pokédex was leaked. And you see it, and immediately you're like, this is amazing. This is a fantastic design. This is exactly what I want my Pokemon looking like. That's kind of all I have to say about it. It's one of those ones that, you know, it won for its design alone. Is that fair? I don't know. And, you know, like I said, looking at my list, is it fair to put it above Pokemon like Toucannon, who's not on this list that I used and had a lot of enjoyment with in Moon version? Oh, I don't know, but when all my other list videos were made, yeah, Golisopod's up there. Kick-ass design, and Giant Isopod represent! That's how good, that's how cool Giant Isopods are. They're really awesome. You should look them up if you haven't seen them. And it's like a samurai. That's what it looks like. I don't know if it actually is a samurai. It could just be stereotyping it based on its design, but it's freaking cool. So, number 2 worst. Steenee. So, I don't like the entire Bound Sweet evolutionary line because they consistently kick my ass when I fight them. I always have trouble with them. It's super annoying. Uh, and so I mentioned how I've gotten into fighting my friends. Well, there's one friend in particular who I'm always doing battle with. And I forget if it was in his Sun version or his Ultra Moon version, he started using the Pound Sweet line. And they just kick my butt all the time. It's so frustrating. I hate it, and it makes me not like them. They're like, oh, that's the Pokemon that beats me all the time. And on top of that, the reason why Steenie's here, don't worry, Tsarina is, it's not, it almost made the cut for this list, but Steenie's the worst because it doesn't even feel like a grass Pokemon. Bounsweet definitely feels like grass Pokemon. Tsarina, you can see it. Kind of like Lilligant, you can see it. But Steenie, let me tell you, Steenie is not a grass Pokemon. Steenie is a cutesy anime girl that was given the random typing of grass Pokemon. That's what it is. It just looks like a cutesy girl from an anime. That's all it is. So that's dumb, quite frankly. And I don't like these people Pokemon. Gen 8 in particular has a problem with that. But this is about Gen 7. So, next is my number 2 favorite design from Gen 7 is Tapu Koko, which is one that as soon as I saw it, I loved it. And it's got such a cool design. It works really well for a legendary Pokemon. It's like, I mean, it looks like it's ready to kick some butt, right? And it's got that huge mohawk, which is really cool. But it's got more traditional Pacific Islander garb, which is, I think that's cool. It's like an awesome concept for an electric fairy Pokemon. It looks like it's like it's a speedster, like it's speedy, but you can tell that it's fairy type. That's not surprising. It's like it looks like it could move in a bolt of lightning, and I love those like arm things that can go like this and like look like a bird. I'm sure in a traditional Pacific Islander culture they have a name for it. I don't know the name for it. To me, it's just a really cool concept. It's like it's sweet. I only used Tapu Koko in the post game. I think I fainted it. They force you to fight it right after the Elite Four, if I remember that right. And I was not prepared, and I made it faint or something like that. And I was like, well, no, I don't know what am I supposed to do, but it came back. But I think I only used it a little in the battle tree with Cloyster. Cloyster's great, guys. It's so fun. Anyway, but I had a good amount of fun with it. It worked well. And I like the lore behind it. The other Tapus could have used some of that lore, quite frankly, but it was cool having a legendary quartet this time around. And you can tell it was culturally meaningful to the people on the first island. What is it, Melee Island? I don't know, but it was cool. And when you got to fight it, it felt meaningful. Like, hey, I'm worthy of you now. That was cool. And it's got some great battle music. Oh, I know I'm talking about Junichi Masuda lying out of his ass, but that guy can write some sweet battle music. And the Tapu's got a really good one. All right, we're in the final stretch. So, my least favorite. I hope this video is working. Sometimes, like, my voice gets out of sync. There's nothing I can do about it because I don't know. I don't know why there's nothing I can do about it. You'd think you could just shift the sound over, but you can't. Like, it still doesn't line up right. But anyway, my number 1 worst is Bewear, which so full disclosure, I have a a mild phobia of bears. It's not like a severe phobia. It's not like you show me a bear and I'm like, oh, get away from me. But I have nightmares about them, and I get scared when I look at them, and what I especially don't like are people in bear costumes. There's a movie, an old movie in 1,000,000 BC that has this guy in a costume, and he's like kind of like a bear, and it upsets me so much. It upsets me so much, even just thinking about it. Oh, I'm getting heebie-jeebies. And Beware makes me think of that costumed man. And that makes me uncomfortable. And it's got, like, the sound it makes is, like, kind of scary, too. I don't like it. Whenever it shows up, I'm like, ugh. Ugh. Quick, gotta run and hide behind my wife. Maybe she'll protect me. But it's some other problems with Beware. It's a red panda, but you wouldn't think it. It doesn't look like a red panda. Who here, raise your hand, looked at Beware and was like, yes, finally, I got my red panda Pokemon. I've been waiting for an Ilurid Pokemon since, like, Gen 1. Huh? No. Beware doesn't look like a red panda, which, by the way, red pandas are not bears. It doesn't look like a red panda at all. You can only tell it's a red panda because it's got the red panda ears and it's got the red panda tail, and Stuffle is obviously a red panda. Beware makes me think of Monokuma, Pedobear, those awful, awful Grateful Dead bears. You know, the ones that are like walking and then they like look at you with their empty eyes and demonic stare. Ugh. That's what Beware makes me think of. It's not a red panda at all. And then, like, on top of that, it's a stuffed animal, which is dumb. Like, it's dumber. You know, I'm a Vanillix defender. I like Vanillix. I think it's cool as an icicle Pokemon, and, you know, it lives in cold storage, so it makes sense that it would have that kind of ice cream appearance. I get it. It's not the best design in the world, but I get it. Stuffle and Beware being stuffed animal Pokemon is... it's dumb to me, and they don't even live where there are stuffed animals. They, like, live out in the woods. Beware lives out in caves out behind your house. Ugh. Ugh. I wouldn't like to live in Alola just because of the Bewares. And, like, it's been a while since I looked at its Pokédex entries, but if I remember correctly, it's got this whole thing about, like, hugging people, and that's lame. That's dumb. Come on, guys. Like, I'm not hyper masculine. I'm not the guy who's like, hugging is for girls or anything like that. No. Hugging is, first of all, there's nothing wrong with girls. Just because a girl does something doesn't mean that it's bad. And second of all, you know, hugging it's a good thing to do. It makes people feel good if they're if they're comfortable with you going into their bubble. So I'm not saying that hugging itself is lame, but this whole thing where this bear that looks like a stuffed animal but is supposed to be like a threat to people is like a big hugger, that's dumb. It's so dumb. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard until Junichi Masuda said that we don't need to let you turn off EXP share, because if you really don't want to be over leveled, you can just box your Pokemon and just use one Pokemon at a time. That's stupid, by the way, but you know. Oh, Masuda. And then lastly, Beware. It's a fighting type. Can you believe that? I can't believe that. It looks like a fairy type. And I'm not, I mean, it looks like a fairy type partly because it's pink. And you know, pink Pokemon are fairy types. That's the stereotype. That's not how it actually works, but that's the stereotype. It looks like it should be a fairy Pokemon. Maybe like fairy fighting or something, at most. Or like fairy normal. I think is what makes sense for it. But no, it's normal fighting. This thing is a fighting Pokemon. This is the same type as Hitmonchan or Machamp or Breloom. Like, what? This thing is a fighting Pokemon? What? But so it is. You know, maybe it's related to like suplexing things. Like, you know, you grab it and then you like flip back or something. I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, Bewear is my least favorite Gen 7 Pokemon and one of my least favorite Pokemon of all time. Let's make sure there aren't any technical issues. All right. Last but not least, my favorite Pokemon from Gen 7. Who could it be? Who could it be? Oh! It's Oranguru. One of my favorite Pokemon of all time. In fact, I don't have the numbers up in front of me. Let's pull that sucker up. Open Excel. Favorite Pokemon up to Gen 7. Alright, if I'm looking at my favorite Pokemon of all time, number 7, Oranguru. I love it. The moment I saw its design, it was all about Oranguru. I was like, I have to have... But what was cool is when they first revealed Oranguru, they gave, like, a description of, like, kind of its lore. And it's got the most fascinating lore of any Pokemon that I've seen, personally. Like, it's... Because Oranguru is intelligent. Alakazam is also intelligent, but for some reason Alakazam doesn't do this. But Oranguru, they kind of push it as like they've never really addressed whether humans evolved from Pokemon, which is kind of weird that hasn't been touched on yet. But kind of going by what happens in the real world, they kind of make this case that Oranguru, as a primate Pokemon, is pretty similar to humans. And one of the things that it does is it uses Pokeballs. That's unbelievable. It's the only time in the games that a Pokemon has ever been mentioned as catching and using other Pokemon. Like, that's so fascinating. And we never do fight an Oranguru. The only Pokemon we fight that uses other Pokemon is, spoiler alerts for Sun and Moon, Lusamine when she fuses with Nihilego. Oh, it's like Nihilist and Ego. Anyway, you never do fight an Oranguru, which is a missed opportunity, but just the lore alone is fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. And on top of the awesome lore and the awesome design, Oranguru was a blast to use in Moon version. Oh, it was so hard to find. It took me hours to find it. I was going in the forest and I was like, oh, is there like one specific patch it's supposed to be on? I'm like looking around for at least 2 hours in that stupid forest looking for Oranguru, and finally I found it. And it was so worth it. That Pokemon carried my team through the whole game with a gimmick which is not unique to Oranguru, but is portrayed as Oranguru's gimmick. Like, so it's stored power. When your stats go up, stored power gets stronger. Multiple Pokemon learn stored power, but Oranguru's whole thing, its whole shtick when you find it in the wild, is it has stored power and Psych Up, and it uses moves to increase its stats. And then, if you increase your stats, it uses Psych Up to copy that, and then it attacks you with stored power and deals massive damage. And, you know, it can learn some good psychic attacks, but I was like, hey, this is kind of interesting. Oh, let's see how this works. Let's keep this going with stored power. And I did it, and it was so great. First of all, against the totem Pokemon, using Psych Up to just copy their stats is phenomenal. It's amazing. Because then you get all those stat boosts right at the get-go, and stored power hits like a hammer. And every time a Pokemon that you're fighting against like boosted stats, you're like, okay, buddy, you boost those stats. You're gonna be in trouble. You're gonna be in trouble. I'm gonna store power your ass with after using Psych Up. And then in addition to all that, when you like send Oranguru out and you're using Calm Mind to boost your special attack. Oh, what does Calm Mind do? Attack and special attack, I think. I forget if I gave it Calm Mind or Cosmic Power. Good question. But anyway, the point is you're like boosting and boosting and boosting and boosting and boosting 2 stats every turn. You turn into like a wrecking ball. A huge wrecking ball. So like when I was fighting the champion or the Elite Four, I was in some tough spots, but Oranguru always got me through because once you get those stats up, it's like it one-shots like everything. And you know it's slow, right? So you're like, oh god. So what I did is I gave it, I might have given it Trick Room. I can't remember if I gave it Trick Room, but I definitely gave it Quick Claw. So there are those moments where like, oh man, this Pokemon is way over my level. It's gonna like one-shot me. What's gonna happen? But then you get that Quick Claw with Oranguru, and you just like annihilate it. Oh, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And then fighting my friend competitively with it, it pairs really well with Baton Pass, which is cool too. So you'll get like another Pokemon like Ninjask that's constantly boosting its speed, and then you Baton Pass over to Oranguru, and it's already ready to go. That's good. It's good. I love this Pokemon, Oranguru. It's a top tenner of all time. And on top of it all, it's a rare find. It's like one of those that you have to work really hard to get. You search for it all the time, and it's worth it. It's totally worth it. So I know I've gone on and on about Oranguru, unscripted, by the way. So I know, but you know, that was good. A real highlight of the game was using Oranguru. Wouldn't it be awesome if I could now mix and match it with the teams that I come up with in Sword and Shield? Because you know, you're like when you're playing, you're like kind of looking forward, like, oh yeah, I'm making this Pokemon, and you know, I've already beaten the game, but I can like use it in the next game and still like use it in teams and keep mixing and matching. But all that's over. A disappointing end to Gen 7. It was my least favorite generation, and I had a lot of problems with Gen 7, and it turns out of nowhere that Gen 7 was the game. The final game with all the Pokemon in it. The one where you can use any Pokemon you want, make any team, do anything. It was lackluster, but still good. Just lackluster compared to the other titles. Sun and Moon and Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. That's the climax of the series. Or so it seems. I hope to be proven wrong. I want everybody to come back to this video in a year after Sword and Shield have come out and we've been able to like sink our teeth into them and tell me just how awesome Sword and Shield is, because nothing could make me happier than the trade-off of losing everything I love about this franchise, which is so close to my heart, and getting something that's just as good, just different. That's the dream. I'm not very optimistic, but I have high expectations. And I'm confident that Game Freak, if not in this game, then in Gen 9 will meet my high expectations. So, it's a long video. Could have been longer if I had more time. But thank you very much for watching. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to share what this franchise means to me. And something I didn't even mention is something that won't be lost. Something that we get to keep. And that's that one of the awesome things about Pokemon is that so many people interested in science, at least, like it. It's a way to make new friends. It's a way to bond with people who otherwise you might not have talked to. And even though maybe we're not all going to be the comrades that we used to be, we're going to be like, oh, your favorite Pokemon got in, but not mine. Even then, hopefully, this is something Game Freak will continue, even with Gen 8, is the social factor. And that, you know, we can continue to bond and get excited about the road ahead. So, with this video, it's rushed. It's not what I want for the end of a franchise that I love. But I wish goodbye to Pokemon, the series that I know and love. And on Friday, we'll see what we get in its place. Maybe it'll be really awesome. Maybe we'll find that, even though conceptually everything's so different, you don't really notice it too much. I mean, that would be fine. That would be sweet. I don't think that will happen, but that would be awesome. And maybe it's the wrong direction for the series to take. But for now, this is my closure to 20 years of cherished memories, wonderful friends, great music, especially recently. Tons of peaked creativity and imagination. A great chunk of my passion to be an artist. The motivator that got me into biology, and now I'm a biology teacher. And something that has meant a lot to me and has been with me always throughout the years. One of my core video game interests. Might be going away, might be staying put, but just in case. This is the unfortunate conclusion to an amazing era of my life, and hopefully the lives of all of you who are watching. So, thank you for watching, if you stuck around, and I hope you have a marvelous rest of the day. Please feel free to give me your thoughts on which Pokemon from Alola were your favorites, what you liked and disliked about Gen 7. I didn't have time to get into that. Changes you're looking forward to in the upcoming Gen 8, and maybe some stuff that gives you cause for concern. Or maybe you just don't like being lied to. I don't. I think it's unprofessional. But please let me know, and have an amazing and wonderful rest of the day. Hopefully, there are no technical issues in this video. If there are, there's nothing I can do about it. But have a marvelous rest of your day.